for joining, and I'm glad that you're here. Today's session, we're going to talk about our membership, our new membership model with local food and farm co-ops, a little bit about us, and the service packages that we also offer as well too. So first, I'm going to talk a little bit about myself and why I'm here. I'm Susanna Redekop. I'm the communications coordinator here at Local Food and Farm Co-ops. So I always put first that I'm also a mom of 3 kids, not only just about my work, but yes, and they are really the center of the things that I do and the reason why I work in the cooperative sector and trying to build a better future for them and model some of the things that I do with sustainability in mind. With my 12 years of working in co-ops, I've been a co-founder of various co-ops, including a childcare co-op, including a consulting co-op. I've been working with local food and farm co-ops. Before that, I was working with the West End Food Co-op here in Toronto. I'm based in Toronto. And in my neighborhood of Parkdale, I was one of the co-founders of developing the retail store part of the West End Food Co-op, which had a farmers market, food co-op retail store, as well as different social programming as well, and a kitchen inside the store. And I live in a housing co-op as well too. I'm a master's student at York University, and my research is looking at the intersections of BIPOC food sovereignty, so food sovereignty for Black, Indigenous, people of color, cooperatives, and climate justice. And that project really has led me to being a co-founder of the Freedom Dreams Cooperative Education. So we are a duo, a group of BIPOC folks who are looking at the different ways in which cooperation happens in the cultures and different communities of Black, Indigenous, people of color, and how that works with or sometimes does not quite jive with and have barriers in the Canadian cooperative sector. So now a little bit about the local food and farm co-ops. So with LFFC, we are a member-driven network. We really are focused on our membership, and we support the development of food co-ops, farm co-ops, and other food system players throughout the whole province. We have regional coordinators in the Northwest, Northeast, myself in the South. We have our project manager, our Indigenous Relations coordinator, and Michelle here, who is also our new administration coordinator. So as I said, we're a member-driven network, which really determines the direction that we go in and things that we do. Our team and our board work to fulfill our mission of fostering vibrant, resilient, connected, sustainable food, farm, cooperatives, and food systems throughout the province. We provide a lot of tools, training, resources, and support throughout the whole food value chain. So that's from seed to supper, from farmers in various regions of the province to the manufacturers, to distribution, retail, and consumer levels. So we have a number of different projects building our cooperative knowledge and network, connecting various different parts of Northern and Southern Ontario communities. And we also do a lot of coalition building in building collaborative initiatives to improve food distribution all across the nation. We have a network of member co-ops and also food system actors, and that include farmers, include food distribution and retail and grocery co-ops, and different community initiatives that build upon things like land trust models and others. So we also provide different number of mentorship opportunities and ways to be able to learn from each other. So here's a number of different members that we have from our second tier co-ops, such as Coco Camino in the corner there, to farms as well too, like Mount Wolf, who are not necessarily a co-op, and also 807 Food Co-op, which is an initiative in northwestern Ontario, bringing together farmers and producers to be able to deliver to a central hub, a food hub where people can place their orders online and pick up. And then also one of our members, Karma Co-op, is just celebrating their 50th birthday, I think next month. which is pretty exciting. We also have CCO and other larger cooperative associations that are part of our membership, such as Ontario Cooperative Association, National Farmers Union as well too. So we have different partners and players that we can also bring in for different collaborative initiatives. And some of our newer members as well too, like the Black Women Professional Worker Co-op, that's in the GTA region, and also some of our members that are based more in Northern Ontario. We have Anishinaabe Nation, that's one of our members, and also Georgian Bay Biosphere Reserve, which does some really interesting, more ecotourism programming. So we have quite a range of different kinds of members, and we're realizing that, you know, as we are looking at our membership, that there's a lot that people bring to the table, even when they're not cooperatives. We don't only focus on cooperatives, we focus on different ways in which people can collaborate and how we can connect folks throughout the whole food system. So at the last annual general meeting, which happened last month, just a few weeks ago, we voted on a new membership model, which is on the next slide. And this new membership model really allows for more ways in which others can engage with LFFC, whether they be sector stakeholders, so larger corporations and institutions that want to be able to have a way to invest with, for example, being able to pay for some of the startup packages that we have available. So we have some different partnerships that we're in discussion with about how that can happen, to be able to also continue having our organization keep our sustainability for longer. We have community stakeholders, so that also includes individuals and unincorporated enterprises that are interested in different kinds of food system development and collaboration. And we do have food farm co-ops, social enterprises as well too, that do various different things, whether they're incorporated or not, and have different social missions as well too. So that's a little bit about how our new membership classes are structured. So with the membership, which is a $300 one-time fee, which is a lifetime membership, that gives you access to being a part of our network of different membership, of different members. And it gives you access to our website, where we have our toolbox of, you know, tons and tons of resources that are there. And then on top of that, we have additional packages that we've been developing over the past little while. So we have our grow package and our bloom package that we've been just talking about recently. One of the things that our grow package offers is access to the Pollinators of Change network that we have been developing. And so the Pollinators of Change network really, it's a way to be able to connect with others in an online space. It's a way to be able to have access to different experts in the field. And I'll go through a little tour at the very end. It also gives access to our co-ops on your desktop online curriculum. So this is a way that folks can, you know, access on their own time, being able to have a range of our different resources that are laid out sequentially to help launch your business, your food organization. It's applicable to a wide range of different organizations, and including co-ops. And so that, you know, takes you from the start to finish, and also having discounts on various partnered programs, including one I'll talk about next. And we have our Bloom package, which gets you that access, but also in addition to that, access to live networking sessions, Q&As that we host on the platform, and having consultations with your regional coordinator or other sector experts, depending on your needs. And so, you know, what that can look like typically is we would be consulting with you and talking about a project that you have in mind, whether it be a business plan, whether it be applying for grants, looking over your grant applications and assisting with that, doing feasibility study work with you to be able to help guide you in the next steps, to be able to take your organization, your farm, your co-op to the next level. So yeah, these are the two packages that we're offering right now. Mostly they're self-guided. The Grow package is entirely self-guided, but also having that network of other peers and experts on the Pollinators of Change online platform to be able to connect with along the way, to be able to troubleshoot with, to be able to reach out to. And so with our online curriculum, we have available to you through our co-ops on your desktop. It's kind of a way to be able to take you through the startup support. And so the co-ops on your desktop is a way to do it self-guided, do it on your own time, your own schedule. Whereas, when LFFC has the capacity to be able to do so on a contract basis for fee for service, and we can offer guiding you through these different pieces. And typically this is what the pathway looks like, from doing a regional scan, your needs assessment, all the way through developing with partners and looking at different resources, whether that be funding, whether it be connecting to others, doing your market research to make sure that you're really applicable to the audience, to your demographics, to where it is in your region you're located and what else is around and what's going to really be working for you. Event planning and really like working on getting that launch happening. So that's a lot of, that's what that one part looks like. And so then one of the things that we are going to be doing too is launching in the fall more of our streams, our seasonal streams. And so the seasonal streams take you through these kinds of actions and these kinds of pathways, but with also special topics that are really particular to the expertise that we have on our team. So for example, the work that I do with Freedom Dreams is really about equity focused work and bringing more food justice to the table. Whereas, someone else might be bringing some more strategic planning and some guidance with value chain coordination. If you were at our earlier sessions with the assembly last month, and you'll remember a little bit about value chain coordination and all those different pieces of bringing those different actors that are part of the food system that need to be in place, building those partnerships, holding that thread of your pathway, and knowing what it is, where it is that you want to go, and what is you want to be accomplishing along the way, and bringing in those different kinds of whether it be funders, whether it be partnerships with others that are like you or can complement the work and the services that you're doing. Doing that really is what we're calling value chain coordination. And so with our seasonal streams here, for example, having, these are each by quarter. And so mapping out what that looks like at the beginning, doing some visioning and governance, making sure that you're engaging your community the best that you can, market feasibility, that research we're talking about, and business planning, and then really doing that fundraising and campaign building to really kind of set you off on that way. The growth stream really starts with that value chain coordination. So looking at the market feasibility, looking at how we connect to other players that are in your region and who are doing similar things or can be complementing the work you do. And then really doing some more strategic planning, member engagement, and gaining a member strategy, your business plan for scaling up, and then really having that growth financing happening and developing the resources that you need after that. So those ones will be coming in fall that we're looking at right now. And one of the partnerships that we have going is for the onboard program with Ontario Cooperative Association. So this is a special promo that we actually have right now, which gets you a modified version of our Grow package, along with the onboard program from Ontario Cooperative Association for those who are looking at becoming a co-op. So what they offer is they have a guided workshop that you would take. They have a very cool interactive map that's online, and you can, click and see other different resources that are with each part of that map, and different kinds of cooperatives, different kinds of development, and see what different templates and tools are there. And then you also get the Pollinators of Change network that we have. So you have the ability to be able to connect to your peers, connect to experts, and you have access to our co-ops on your desktop online curriculum for 6 months. And so if you register for both these programs, you get 50% off of one of them. So it's a power combo of co-op support for $150 instead of $200. So from there, I was going to show you a little bit about our Pollinators of Change network. And so if we can, so then we have, as I said, the peer networking, online course content, and sharing different, events and promotions that you may be having as well too. And some of our partnered programs, such as the one I just mentioned with OCA. So this is our online platform called Pollinators of Change. And so this is really about being able to have access for a wide number of folks who are part of local food, farming, cooperatives, and the solidarity economy. So we have different partnerships that we're building to be able to have different entry points for access. And so you have kind of, your feed here. There's Michelle who just posted about this session today. There's lots of different things, whether it be other events that are happening, the members you can connect to, different experts, for example. And then also just posting questions and articles and things that are coming up. We have also some of our topics here too. You'll see things that are tagged with different topics. For farming, for example, all the different things that we tagged so far with this topic. We also have different things that have to do with JEDI, which stands for Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion, for example. And we have a range of resources that happen to be in there too. So sometimes we post, different videos, linking to different things, a huge amount of resources, for example, just for this one that was here, and different calls to actions and different toolkits, which is pretty cool. With the Onboard and Pollinators of Change partnership, you have access to your own circle. So this would be a circle within the larger network. So you'd have a smaller group to be able to connect to that you can, be going through the different pieces of co-ops on your desktop, the online curriculum with, to be able to troubleshoot. Can also be, connecting to us experts. And have ways to be able to also create your own events and all of that within here. The co-ops on your desktop is one of our streams. And so with our streams here, so you'll have a chance to be able to see. This is an online curriculum of how to go through different modules. We have 5 of them, and each one has a range of different resources within that. So for example, we're talking about mission, vision, and values. We have the examples from some of our members. This one here, Muskoka North, Good Food Co-op. We have different, downloadable PDFs, worksheets, sample bylaws, and things like that as well too, and different resources about, in this part here, about youth and worker co-ops, for example. And so each one of these pieces is something different, and you can download, you can go through those different things on your own time. We understand how you need to be able to be reflexive and flexible, especially in these times. And this is designed to be able to work with your schedule. I think that's probably it for this one. So I'm going to stop share for now. But yeah, at this point, are there any questions that we have from anyone else here?
Yeah, it's great. Thanks. I'm sorry I was a bit late. Was at my farm, needed to escape
Always.
for a few minutes. Very interesting, lots to digest in terms of what's how long is this combo available for people?
So the Pollinators of Change and Onboard program, that one is available to register for by the end of June. So the Onboard program, they have quarterly intakes. So you can register for that. The one that starts in June starts on June 21st. But there's another one that starts in September and another one
Okay.
that starts in November. So you can sign up for any one of those three with this combination, and it'll still stay in that way. So if you're not quite, ready for LFFC membership and that kind of commitment, if you want to kind of try it out, it's a great way to be able to start that way.
Yeah, because it's the one that had all like the sample of the different structures, because I'm at a point where I'm running a business full throttle. And so the idea of the bloom seems to make maybe a little bit more sense, just because I have done a certain amount of research. I do have, but tweaking some of those market research and revisiting some of those things that I don't necessarily have the time to do myself because I'm beekeeping. There's other places where my time is being spent and having the expertise. So the next thing, I guess, is after the membership, if you say, yeah, that sounds great, that's a good $500 investment, let's say. What is some of the price points for engaging some of those expertise to say, no, actually like to have an actual mediator come and I've done a lot of my own evaluations over the last number of years through our succession plan, but I think it's time to get, if it's going to transition in this larger way, because there's a lot of different, in my particular situation, there could be even a second corporation created to hold land and then hold the business. So there's some complexities there that it needs to fit within, if this cooperative owner or partnering, right? Finding new partners to run the farm with me in that cooperative or collaborative framework. There's land that could be added into it. So it's kind of like the time needs to have some reflection, like some pretty serious things decided. And so doing an online thing again, it may be not as valuable as just getting somebody in to say, yeah, let's hash this out right now.
Totally.
So how does that work?
Yeah.
Like, how do you normally do
We definitely do consulting as well too. And that would require just having a meeting with us and seeing what your needs are, because it can be a range depending on what that looks like. So some of the upcoming streams, for example, where we would be there and guiding parts of that, but you would have a cohort that would also be there with you doing that. That is looking more of like a $500 range. But we have done contracts before where it's, a very intensive one-on-one more so, but like very hand holding and guided for groups that can be like, say up to $5,000. But there can be things within that range depending what your needs are. So I think that, having another conversation about what those particulars look like and timelines, depending on our staff capacity, can definitely be,
okay.
For you.
Okay, well, I'll take a look at some of the details again. I took some photos of some of the particulars and just see what kind of combination might work, because I think there's obviously a lot to utilize to benefit our operation. It's just finding the time to tap into it is my biggest challenge right now.
Yeah, I hear you. It's a huge challenge. It is, and that's part of why, creating different options, different flexible options has been a big priority for us. Because for some folks, having the online piece where they can do on their own time and own schedule absolutely works best for them, because they don't have to commit to something that's a specific day and time. It can be on their own time. But again, some really do need to have that that individual consulting and that expertise and guidance every step of the way. So there's a range of different things that are available.
I guess the biggest thing would be to consider like whether the combination of being with the Ontario and the LFC is of value, or just to say, let's just go ahead and join the organization and tap right into individuals. That's kind of the difference between the two, because you'd still get the online information, right?
with the
I have to, I guess, research as to what the Ontario portion of it actually adds, because I guess maybe I didn't write any notes about like, because I see the grow and the bloom, but I don't know what the Ontario portion would be.
Absolutely. Let me just get you a link to the Ontario the onboard program. So I'm just going to put that in chat for everyone here. So here's some more details about the onboard program from Ontario Cooperative Association. And then also we have our own page that talks more about what this partnership looks like.
Okay.
And you get with that second link I just put into the chat.
Yeah.
They it's really great to be able to, like, they had an info session that was last week. I think it was last week. And so they have a lot of expertise in the ins and outs of bylaws and when it comes to different kinds of co-ops, and like they're great to be able to go to for a lot of that kind of information. When it comes to the intersections of food, farming, and cooperatives, we have sort of like a little niche with LFFC, because there's more that goes just beyond the cooperative structure, right? Sometimes in different partners, sometimes there's things to do with not just your municipality, but that might have to do with land trusts and stuff like that. There's lots of different pieces that LFFC can bring in with the kinds of work and value chain coordination that we do.
Okay, so it sounds like some, because I'm looking at contracts, shareholder agreements.
Okay.
The idea of establishing the bylaws, because I'm taking it from a family business to hopefully shared partnership with select, and then possibly reaching out into the community further as well in terms of memberships to support the farming operation in a different way, right? As opposed to just buying the product. Absolutely. Is really supporting the actual the establishment. Because just the cost of everything.
Amazing, by the way.
Well, it's just I'm not real. I mean, funnily enough, when I was in Toronto, I used to support Karma Co-op years ago, like when I was in my 20s. So I lived right up the street from it, and thought it was such a cool place, right? And so it's great that I always kind of like every once in a while tap in and go, oh, it's still going. That's awesome.
50 years, my friend. 50 years they're celebrating this year.
Yeah, well, we'll be 50 years in 2 years in 2024. So we'll be 50 years. So I'm sort of aiming for that. 2024 is a big sort of shift year. And then 2026 to be like not necessarily my exit year, but that I've got things and people in place doing different stuff, and I have more help with the actual nuts and bolts of operations, but on a more meaningful level in terms of expertise and longevity.
Fantastic.
So we'll see.
Thank you.
We'll see.
Yeah, Jamie, I'm just curious, where is your farm, and what do you have on your farm? We're just curious, if you don't mind sharing.
So so we're southwest of North Bay, in a little community called Restoule, so we're in the sort of the top end of the boreal or middle of the boreal forest, but closer to the top end. And we're beekeepers. I'm a beekeeper. So I have honey and bees and a small piece of property, but with trails. We're quite a tourism operation as well, because right in our community, we have a really notable provincial park. So we're in tourism central, basically, as well as having North Bay and the surrounding communities as very supportive locals who really love honey. And we have a great network of hobbyist beekeepers too. But so I'm just, we have that almost 50-year run, and it's changed along the way, and it's changing again because the founding, my father's already gone. Founding members, my parents are exiting in different ways, and so I sort of committed to that transitionary period of time, learning what was happening, finding the crew and the team, figuring out how it can maintain itself as a community entity, but doesn't necessarily need to be in the hands of the founding family. It has to be in the hands of the community. That's more like, we always felt that way anyways, because without customers, wanting your stuff, you don't have a business, and the customers drive the car. So we just want to be more formalized around it. But because my dad and my mom were back to the lander dynamo people, they knew so many things that now, I'm one person, and I have great, wonderful team members. I'm not an HR specialist. I'm not a business specialist. So knowing exactly who I have and who I'm missing and how to harness and all the different things in terms of like, do we have all of the bells and whistles that every ministry wants us to have? Like again, and investments in capital and cost of production. So I've been in succession planning for about 6 years. Started with just overall business planning, went more into succession, and now we got to go sort of the other way and go back into business again, but looking at a shared partnership. And there's a piece of land involved that could be sold to a partner for somebody to build on, which is adjacent to our farm. So I don't want to let that go without it maybe being an asset and a value to the longevity of our operation, as well as a farmhouse. And so there's a lot of pieces to what we're doing, what I have in front of me. And I really just, as my mom would say, like, don't mess it up. So, there's a lot of pressure in that way, but there's a lot more, I think, keen individuals that maybe see the value and see where honey and our operation particularly, it's very diverse already, probably more diverse than it should be to some degree, but less diverse than it needs to be. But it's where those diversity is going to bring the best return for effort. Husbandry is already a huge labor intensive industry that isn't rewarded appropriately financially. So it's very challenging to run. It's very, very challenging to run, and entice, good talent and hold people. And not that we hold our own. However, it's not quite as lucrative as maybe another business that's not generating their product and
for sure
doesn't have the same kind of investments, so which you folks are very familiar with, I'm quite certain.
Yeah.
Totally.
Well, thank you so much. I was just curious, and I think that's also part of the value that LFFC brings, is that you'll have somebody who's clearly dedicated their whole lives to, beekeeping or running a farm, whereas you'll have other people who spent their education, studying bookkeeping or accounting. And I think that's the value of the network, of bringing different people's areas of expertise together, so that people could focus on what they're good at, because I hope nobody asks me to keep any bees anytime soon. I wouldn't be able to help, but there's definitely other things that we'd be able to help with for sure. So, but thanks, Jamie. I was, again, just curious about your farm. So that's awesome. Thank you for sharing.
And Jamie, I'm going to send you, I don't know if you were able to attend the land trust session that we had at the assembly, but if not, there was a recording of it, and I'll send it to you.
Not sure. I know I couldn't go to all of it. I was working through like 2 of the days. I kind of got the first and the last day maybe a bit.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how appropriate it was, because I was kind of it just happened to be like, oh, guess what? Tomorrow we're doing this. Just like this one, it's this one here. Oh, guess what? Tomorrow you can come and join in again. Like, exactly. Oh, okay, it's raining today. I can actually do this.
I know. If only we could plan these for only rainy days. We get all the farmers. We get all the farmers that way.
Some, yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's a beautiful, humid day today. It's a growing day, so it's all good. Up here, yeah. But this is answering some questions, and I'm excited about the possibility of person-to-person engagement just as much as group, just for clarification and real motivation to kind of move forward. So that's good. That's nice that there's some options.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jamie. Taylor, do you have any questions for us?
Yeah, I actually had a quick question about the peer-to-peer networking group that was mentioned in the presentation. So is it only for co-op people, or is it also for knowledge and service partners that maybe have expertise within different fields of agriculture or food sectors? I was just thinking because BioEnterprise has a large network. We call it our engine of knowledge partners, service partners, and SMEs all across Canada.
Yeah.
Now, beekeeping or bees are not maybe the forefront, but we do have experts and innovators in those areas. But in a general sense, is there ways to join that peer-to-peer network as an organization?
Absolutely. So part of the LFFC new membership that we have is to also welcome sector partners. So it's other institutions, other organizations to be able to partner with us on the various different initiatives that we have. And definitely with this network, this is not an LFFC network. This is a network to be able to partner with, to be able to create joint programs. And I'm glad you could see the value of being able to bring folks together in that sort of online way. And then also there's the option, which I love, being able to have, that peer networking is great. And then also adding the ability to be able to have resources, have ways to be able to share that are, organized in a really sequential way that really makes a lot of sense when someone's going through something. They want to go through a course, they want to go through some kind of, training module, and that way, can be set up in such a way that's really helpful to be self-guided and or have your cohort with you, to be able to, to connect with, and experts too. So yeah, we can definitely chat more about that and what that looks like. But yes.
Awesome. Yeah, I was thinking more or less of BioEnterprise maybe being a part of the network in a general sense, but also being able to share our demo days. We have innovation challenges happening right now in Northern Ontario and other cost sharing programs that might be beneficial. We do work with the local, is it the 807 co-op?
Yeah, 807.
Yeah, it's Brent Cadeau, right?
Yeah, he's part of that as well too. Yeah, there's a
Yeah,
number of
so-
founding members.
Yeah, so he's on our advisory board as well.
Okay.
And we're just looking at ways to kind of collaborate and bring new organizations and businesses together to kind of create what we're calling, it's really a network that's larger for Northern Ontario to kind of spur innovation in the agri-tech sectors,
Yeah.
whether that's food directly or if it's food processors, everyone around to kind of innovate together in this kind of virtual hub, I guess. So
Yeah.
very similar to what you guys are doing. So it's awesome to see some like-minded people out here. It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great opportunity to be able to partner and have BioEnterprise, join as a member, join as, a user on the account. And you can also see, and experiment with it and see what makes sense. And then if that ends up building a larger partnership from there to be able to have, say, part of your network onto that network for a specific partnership, that's definitely doable. So just like how we've partnered with Ontario Cooperative Association to create the onboard program, we can create our own bundles that would have, your own circle of, say, BioEnterprise, or if they're going through a specific, training program or something like that, or groups that have specific interests that can be created as a circle. And then if you wanted to add something onto that, you could as well too for the different kinds of educational streams.
Awesome.
You can also add your own events and everything too. So it pops up just like this. Like when an event is actually live, it has this little like live button so people can see, and just click on it and, jump right in. And it connects and does all the integrations with Eventbrite, with Zoom, etc. So
Awesome.
it's great. Yeah, we'll chat more. Thanks so much. Once you're coming to the end of our session, are there any other last questions, comments? Yeah, thanks so much for joining.
I had one question about contracts,
Yes.
like templates of contracts,
Mhm.
human resources contracts, land use, accommodation, for students, things like that. If that membership to the LFC, are there things like templates that can be utilized from the organization?
Absolutely. So part
Okay.
of one of the things with our toolbox is that we have quite a range of different sample policies, sample bylaws, sample contracts and things like that. I mean, just to use as an example, with my West End Food Co-op, we ran for 6 years, had a lot of great successes, but then we closed out of circumstances that were, beyond our control. And instead of just, closing and then not talking about it again, I really have been trying to, put as much as I can onto the website in terms of, we had a great volunteer policy. We had some awesome, different kinds of, there was policies. There was also different draft templates. We were a really complex multi-stakeholder co-op, and there are not a lot of those that have their bylaws public. So we brought together different sector partners, including consumers, workers, farmers, and community partners. So, walking that balance was really complex. But being able to write that into our bylaws and be really explicit about that was really important to us. For example, so yeah, I can just think off the top of my head, I think I've put probably maybe 10 or so different pieces from West End Food Co-op onto there. And sometimes those things happen, right? Sometimes organizations close, and instead of having that, just kind of go off into the dust, it's great to be able to utilize that experience and expertise.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is, you can think about them and that they need to be in place and that you would benefit, but the creation of those types of templates, it's just the timelines of being able to invest. And if you had no business and you were beginning and starting from scratch and in your business planning for the so many year ahead or whatever, but when you're in the middle of the business, and it's a challenge to put that time aside and dedicate to those types of documents, but it's a lot easier to take a template that makes sense and has been utilized before and streamline it for your own organization. So that's great to know. Okay,
yeah,
good.
All about not having to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, and I'm looking for that because my time is valuable, and if I have to say, okay, this is an investment that's going to, reap these types of rewards that we need, and sooner the sooner the better for some of the different things that we want to implement. Then or over the next year and a half kind of thing, 2 years, implement and ratify. So it's just moving forward and knowing that if we do invest, then we get the things we need, or I get the things that I don't have to waste my time.
Absolutely.
Like I have other priorities, lots of priorities. So it's good that someone else has that. That's great. Okay. And then I'll check out the links or the websites that you put in here.
Sure. The last thing I was going to say too is that we do understand that, especially as startups and food and farm organizations, costs can definitely be a barrier. So we are in discussion with a number of different partners, sector partners, about what it might look like for them to be able to sponsor some of these packages. And reduce the costs for the users, whether that be sponsored entirely or sponsored for a portion. So there'll be more information coming out about that as those relationships develop. But even just seeing that there's interest gives us reason and numbers to be able to provide when we're having those conversations and saying, hey, we have X many interested parties for these kinds of packages. Being able to provide sponsorship for them means that you'll be giving access to folks who wouldn't otherwise be able to go out of their way to do this. So yeah, it's helpful information for us too.
Yeah, it's great. And then even with the Taylor's organization for Northern Ontario, the idea of bringing everybody together in a hub and recognizing that, as an individual entrepreneur, you want to take advantage of everything, but you have to be selective. But if you have a one central area where there's all these links and there's cross links, then you're maybe not going to miss an important organization or an opportunity that would really benefit in terms of linking and knowledge sharing, right? Because it gets to a point where it's like, I got 10 magazines out in front of me and they're all telling me different things, and which one do I, it's the same thing as a website, or online. You're like, oh, well, there's so many organizations, and are they all doing the same thing? Because that would really suck, because we need everybody to do different things. To offer the diversity of knowledge that's needed to move forward and really not reinvent the wheel or double do things, because that we, don't have, a lot of us don't have time for that. At this
Sure.
stage, it's like, okay, you know what? I like the idea of going to that hub and finding lots of good information. So that's cool.
Exactly. And that's
And
kind of,
training.
for sure. And that's kind of what we're trying to do as well too, and recognizing that, a lot of our partner organizations are looking for opportunities to, have better member engagement, better ways to engage online, especially when they're so diverse and across province, have ways to be able to bring value to their membership, with being able to offer things like resources and training in, a central way. So, being able to create the Pollinators of Change network has been the beginning of that, the beginnings of the conversation of how to, bring more partners into this kind of work and to not do this doubling up of different initiatives, but instead trying to work together to be able to support each other.
Yeah, it's like the library, right? The library and the toolkit all in one area.
For sure. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. It's been really a pleasure being able to speak with you both. Yeah, if there's anything else, feel free to reach out. But I'll also be sending this link out with a follow-up email as this recording. So yeah, have a wonderful rest of your day. Hope you enjoyed your lunch break.
Yeah. Thanks.
Take care.
Thanks.
Stay dry out there. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye,
You
guys.
too.
So great to meet
Okay.
you. Thank you.
Yeah, good information. Appreciate it.